When it comes to speaking with confidence, you already know what to do. Slow down your speech, use a more confident voice, remove filler words, make eye contact. You've heard it all before. So why do you still sound nervous the moment you speak in front of people? My name is Stephan, and after working with hundreds of professionals and entrepreneurs over the years, I've learned that knowing something and doing it under pressure are two very different things. In fact, the more you know, the more humiliating it can feel when you seemingly can't put it into action at the crucial moment, right? And I know how frustrating this is because I've been there myself many times. So in this video, we'll address the real reason why you're not sounding confident yet when it really matters, and how to remove the obstacles that stop you from being the most composed, confident sounding speaker that you know you could be, whether you're in a board meeting, a pitch, or giving a speech at a wedding. Let's first look at the reason why, despite knowing what to do, you don't seem to be able to do it yet in the moment. Because unless you understand this, you will never be able to truly change this. And quite simply, your state gets in the way, right? And to really get this, we need to briefly talk about the left brain and the right brain and go a little bit deeper. I'm not a brain expert, but I've been told this, that apparently there's a right brain and a left brain, and in very simple terms, the right brain is more useful to be activated when you want to be in flow and when you want to use your creativity and be, expressive and things like that. And the left brain is a little better at evaluating things and controlling things and, structuring things and thinking things through. So in other words, when you're speaking, the obvious answer is you want your right brain to be firing on all cylinders and your left brain to kind of take a bit of a back seat. But the problem very often is if we haven't done certain things in order to get really comfortable speaking, then we will get stressed because we are also feeling exposed. Then we start to evaluate ourselves rather than being in flow and communicating with our audience. And that's where things can get very hairy. So you're interfering with your high performance state by basically trying to control something that would be left alone far more effective. And as a result, the flow state is gone and you go into self-evaluation mode. Now, having said that, we need to figure out where does the stress actually come from? Otherwise, we'll be struggling with this forever. Well, in my book, there are three very common barriers that interfere with our perfect state when it comes to performing. First thing you need to overcome is probably the deepest, and that is your ego and self-worth, which is linked to approval from others. If we get more focused on getting approval from others to prove to ourselves that we are worthy, then we'll likely interfere with that flow state we could be experiencing because we're evaluating as well as trying to speak, which creates a cognitive overload. So yeah, knowing your worth, approving of yourself, having strong self-esteem, eradicates this stress response, but truth be told, you won't be able to develop this by watching this video, sadly. If you realize this is something that's been undermining you for years and you're ready to change it, go and do my confidence and self-esteem building program, The Challenge. It's going to take you through a process that will develop the deep confidence and self-esteem that you've always wanted. But of course, for now, I will give you a shortcut that's been working really well for me over the years. This exercise is really great because it also puts you into right brain mode, to be honest. It engages your imagination, which takes you out of your evaluation state in the first place, but it also makes you feel connected to everybody, which sort of sidelines the whole, you are evaluating me, because actually you're going to feel very connected with people. Would you like me to explain it? Okay, let's go. This is called the magic circle, and an ex-client of mine used to call it the magic carpet, and that's very wrong. So no, I didn't fire him because of that. He was my favorite client, to be honest. But magic circle, okay? Here's how you do it. We all have a personal space. That's the personal space that if somebody steps into it, we feel it. And if it's a stranger, we feel a bit, we want them to step out of it again, right? Because we might feel a little attacked. So think of this as your personal space. Now imagine having this circle around you, and on the floor, you see your favorite color. Now, I'm not talking about the color that makes you look the best, but the color that you enjoy the most, something that makes you feel good. So you want to imagine around you right now, do it with me actually, it's fun, your favorite color on the floor. You don't have to actually see it, just imagine it, it's okay. So for me, that is coral. I love coral. And I put that here right now. So personal space. Now, Just double the size of the thing, okay, in your mind. All right, make it twice as big. It's funny now when I say twice as big, it's actually past the camera, right? So I'm already feeling different talking to the camera. And now I'm just going to imagine doubling it again. And now it's going beyond the room, and it's like the whole room is full with this coral on the floor. And I feel automatically completely at peace. And if you were a person, I would just feel that you are part of my coral circle here, and you would be in my space. And so would I be intimidated by you? Would I feel judged by you? Would I be worried about what you think? No, actually, because I've made you part of my space. So if you imagine doing this for a speech, you will literally feel connected to the audience, like they're part of you. You're not going to feel judged, and you're not going to freak out about it. Now, none of this solves anything yet if you don't fix this second problem that's causing the stress that causes you to lose your flow state. And this one is so common that I'll bet an unreasonable amount of money that this applies to most people watching this. I've got to ask you this. Have you ever watched a movie or a TV drama and you thought, yeah, I could do what that actress does? Yeah, why not? It looks easy. To be honest, I always laugh when people say that because I've been an actor for years, and yeah, no, the amount of work that's gone into making what you're watching easy and effortless, hours of researching the background of the character, the relationships, the history, super objective, scene beats, scene objective, substitutions, objects, inner monologue, blah, blah, blah. And that's not even learning the lines. Most people have no idea, which makes sense, of course. Why should they? The same happens with speaking. Most people literally just don't practice enough. Often because they don't really know how to practice as well in the right way. And when they do, they feel awkward because actually practicing can make them feel more worried because they realize that they lose their thread or they get self-conscious at different points. But that's actually gold. You need to find these things out before you do it. So what is practicing the right way? Glad you asked. In highly simplified terms, there are 3 steps to it again. The first thing is always create a clear structure and always work from a structure rather than trying to write it all out word for word and then learn it by heart. I was recently at a speech competition and one of the speakers started off with a great speech, and then in the middle of the speech he completely stopped because he had learned a speech word for word and he couldn't remember the connection from one bit to the next. He didn't have the structure, the connection in his mind, and therefore he was completely reliant on regurgitating the words one by one. And that ends up making you very nervous because, yeah, you literally could get stuck and you wouldn't know what to do. You always want to prepare a presentation, a speech by structure. And then you want to be able to say it in different ways. And you cannot do that when you learn it by heart, word for word. That alone can make you feel reassured that you will be okay even if you forget something, because you know where the overall structure is going and what you're aiming for. The second thing that is so helpful is mental rehearsal. By mental rehearsal, I mean closing your eyes, imagining yourself doing the speech or the presentation 100% in the circumstances, but you're doing it in a positive way, in the perfect way that you want to do it. So that means you're also imagining how the audience reacts. And when they challenge you on something or you do a bit of Q&A afterwards, how you deal with the challenges and how you manage the whole thing effectively. So you're imagining it under performance circumstances, yeah? Not just sort of like going through it by itself. And the last step is rehearsal out loud. With the audience in mind, you want to get used to speaking it out loud in different ways. In other words, you don't want to get used to exactly the same words, but certain phrases will just keep coming back to you. And you will make some new connections when you play around with this, because you will learn to hear how you can say something in a simpler way. And so also when people write speeches, very often word for word, they end up making the sentences too complicated. And if you don't then really go over it over and over again, and try out different ways of saying the same thing, you won't find that out, that you can't actually say that comfortably before you do the actual presentation or speech. So always work from a structure, practice mental rehearsal under performance circumstances with the audience in mind, and practice speaking it out loud with the audience in mind as well, of course. But if you don't figure out the last problem, you'll be able to get better at speaking with confidence, but you still struggle when the going gets tough, despite good preparation. The third problem is that your goal and your why is not stronger than your fear of failure, disapproval, exposure yet. So listen carefully, because this is the secret of dealing with incredible pressure, with self-evaluation, with self-consciousness, and going well beyond it. Imagine this. You walk down the street and you see a big lorry coming down the road at full speed. Now all of a sudden, this woman that's coming towards you with headphones on gets ready to cross the street without looking. If you don't stop her, she'll be crushed by the lorry because her eyes are not on the road. What do? Do you worry about seeming weird if you talk to her? Do you evaluate how you look and sound when you try to get her attention? No. Obviously you do what you can to get her attention, but you grab her if you have to and save her life. Why? Because, your goal and your why is stronger than any potential embarrassment you could possibly suffer in the process. You develop courage, decisiveness, and you act instinctively because you have a strong why. The same applies to speaking with confidence under pressure. Your goal and your why needs to be more important to you than your fear of failure or social exclusion. And here's the big mistake people make with goals. Most people think a goal is something that you decide and then it stays in your head. No, you need to feel it in your stomach. If it's something that you really need to achieve and you can feel it in your stomach, it will make you move, it will make you take action. So ask yourself, what exactly is my goal here when I speak? And why is this so important to me? To me, not just to other people. Ideally, the goal should be focused on what you want your listeners to do as a result of your speech. And you want to get specific about why that's so important to you. So here's a great technique for this, okay? And this is something that I've learned from acting. If you write down the objective, I need you to blah, 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 whatever it is, because, and you then keep writing without thinking, or you can also do this speaking out loud without thinking. This helps you to bring out the big why for you. If you actually do this before the event, the presentation, or the speech, when you start speaking, you'll be so locked into what you're doing and really feel it in your stomach. And then when you're speaking, do your best to focus on the end goal of it all, the thing that you want your viewer to do, and it will pull you forward without even giving you time to get self-conscious. And the side effect of that is you would naturally sound confident because you have drive and you use all the tools at your disposal to win your goal. So if you follow these 3 steps, you'll dramatically change your ability to speak with confidence when it matters most. Even when the pressure is on, or your boss stares at you, or if you're a very awkward public speaker. Now, if you're curious why you've been trying all kinds of advice to be more confident in general in social situations or at work, but you still haven't found anything reliable that you can actually use to get into a great state in these situations, I have a video that you can watch here where I explain exactly what to do for you.